everybody to the January Staten Island Borough Board meeting. If we can all get started by rising and saying the pledge, please.
Allegiance
To the
flag.
flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. So I just want to take attendance. We're just at this point missing Councilmember Carr's representative. If they join later, we can amend the attendance records. Brooke was kind enough to send everybody the minutes from the last meeting. If I could just entertain a motion to accept those meetings.
Accept the minutes.
Jerry first. Can I have a second, please?
Second, CB2, second.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, so not to keep anybody waiting, we're going to go right into our presentations, and we're going to start off. So we're going to start with the good urban design first. So city planning, take it away if you're ready.
Hello, sorry for the delay.
No trouble. Who would you like to be the presenter?
I'm the presenter. My name is Eugenia Di Girolamo. I am the Deputy Director of the Urban Design Division at the
Great.
Department of City Planning.
I will make you the presenter.
Great, thank you
There you
so
go.
much. So I will just share my screen. Great.
Hi, everyone.
Good afternoon. How are you, Commissioner?
I'm good. How are you? Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy
Happy
New Year.
to you too, Commissioner.
Happy New Year, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Great. Again, good evening, everyone. My name is Eugenia Di Girolamo with the Department of City Planning, and thank you so much for giving me a chance today to talk to you about the principles of Good Urban Design Initiative, or the goodurbandesign.nyc website that was launched in this past fall. The effort here is to take a look at the existing principles of good urban design that the department issued in 2017. In the past year and a half, we've really been rethinking how these principles have been drafted in a way. We really took another good look at them. And what we realized is that at the time, these principles were written with practitioners in mind. So architects, urban designers, landscape architects, developers as well. Rereading them now, we felt that they were a little bit jargony, to be honest with you. So we really embarked in an effort to update them. And at the same time, making sure that in this update, we reach all New Yorkers. We reach community boards, we reach local groups, we reach everyone. And we have embarked in a public initiative where we're asking for feedback from New Yorkers so that the next update takes into account people's feedback and needs as well. So I'll just walk you through what the effort is, and then I'll show you the site itself. So today, the principles of good urban design are what you see here on the screen. Good urban design, we say, reinforces the sense of place of a neighborhood, supports the ease of movement around the city and an accessible public realm. Good urban design incorporates details that ensure quality, durability, stewardship, and maintenance. And good urban design ensures that our city is comfortable, welcoming, and feels safe to all. We don't think that these principles, we need to get rid of them. What we want to do is asking New Yorkers, how do they feel about them? Is there anything that we're missing that they would change, or on any other principle that we should include today? So really the goal of this initiative is to create an interactive website that will engage communities throughout New York to help them better their built environment through ensuring that these urban design principles incorporate all the neighborhood perspectives and needs. So as I mentioned, the website is targeted towards the general public, community boards. We've been engaging New York City schools, as well as local community CBOs or bids, as well as city agencies, and of course, institutions and industry experts and architects and developers. So the objectives of this site are in the short term to enhance the way we do engagement at DCP, starting to create sites like this one where we can reach a lot more people than we would with meetings, and also enhancing our common strategies for outreach. We also not only want to reach more people, but we also want through the site offer educational tools on urban design for everyone that can be used and can help you advocate for what you need in your community. And then, of course, updating the principles of good urban design for the city. And in the long term, we hope that these principles, as well as the tools that are shared on the site, can help inform the community district needs statement, and in general, or more globally, plan for a more equitable city. So you'll see that the site, again, it's goodurbandesign.nyc, includes three major or main activities. One is a survey where we ask people to tell us what matters in their neighborhood. We ask for participants' location, by neighborhood. And we ask questions around what aspects of the principles resonate the most with people, and how do they identify. These will inform the writing of the principles directly, and will really give us geographic specificities on how people feel in different neighborhoods about the principles. Then the ideas tool, which we're calling the wall of ideas, is a place where people can share a story about their neighborhood. Again, people can share their location, but also qualitative aspects of what people like or dislike in their neighborhood. And again, these can help that they can potentially illustrate some of the community district needs statement that we're hearing from communities. And then the last one is the forum. This is definitely the most involved activity where people can read and give feedback on the principles directly. So people can read the current draft of the principles text, and they can tell us specifically how they would like these principles to be rewritten, if they agree with them, or if there is anything, again, missing from them today. What type of resources you can expect on the site is what you see here, that I'll go into more detail. Here on the right is this community planning guide that can help community members get involved in making changes in their neighborhood in different ways. Of course, update to the principles, and again, better informing public processes and engagement with the public process and the community district needs statement process as well. So we've done a lot of outreach so far. What we've heard is a lot of excitement. Communities really appreciate the access to resources that the site gives, and can really help them advocate for better urban design in their neighborhood. But we've also heard some concerns so far. Timing, why now, and how long will the site be open? We launched the site in mid-September. Initially, we were expecting to close the site by the end of the year. As you can imagine, that's why we're here today. We decided, based on the feedback we received, to extend the survey, or to extend the deadline of the survey to the end of February. so that more people can participate and we can reach more people. We've heard some issues and concerns with accessibility, specifically with language and internet proficiency. The site is in English, but we have added the survey can be filled out in Spanish and French. And also the site can be translated in any language through Google Translate. And as to internet proficiency, we're working with New York Public Library, NYCHA, and Department for the Aging to identify ways in which we can reach people where they are and potentially have them fill out these type of surveys on paper, and then we can take them in and input them in the system. And also how the data will be analyzed and communicated and used to genuinely improve New Yorkers' public realm. And we are committing to sharing the feedback. Any community board that is interested in understanding how their constituents responded to the survey, we would love to share that data with them. And also we plan on sharing an update as soon as the survey closes on the things that we're hearing from communities directly. So I gave you a little bit of a overview of the timeline. As I said, we've launched the site in mid-September 2021. It will be open, or the survey, I should say, will be open until the end of February. The site will remain open. It won't close, even though the survey will close. Right now we keep on intensifying broad public engagement. We're doing more community board, institutions like I mentioned, borough boards like you, and practitioners. In March, we'll take the time to review the data and just starting to analyzing the feedback that we've received and starting to prepare deliverables, which is the update to the principles. And then April to May, we will release or re-release the principles of good urban design. We will promote it publicly, and we will look into making potentially this a process, an annual process. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'll show you the site in a second, but I'm really here to share the site with you and ask you to share with your constituents. We are here, we're available to make presentations to local groups that you're aware of that you think could be interested in this. We're here to make presentations, we're available to make presentations at your board meetings, at your committee meetings. We really want to spread the word widely, and we definitely want Staten Island to be represented in the feedback that we receive. And here, I'll just walk you quickly through the site. This is the landing page. Again, the site is goodurbandesign.nyc. You can see up here that this is in Italian because I'm actually in Italy right now. I'm home. And so it's in Italian, but by clicking here, the site could be translated in any language that it's preferred. We have a short video that illustrates what urban design is and how the built environment affect people's quality of life in the city. So how also to understand how any new projects or the character of a neighborhood can affect the quality of life and our life through the city. The video is also available in Spanish. Here you'll see the 3 activities. By clicking on them, you have the survey, the ideas wall, and then the forum. We have an announcement that the site will remain open through February, and then I'll show you this. This is the community planning guide I was referring to. We just try to answer the very simple question of want to make a change in your neighborhood. How can you do that? You can, for example, wanting to make a small improvement, like, for example, requesting a tree, or you have a big idea that you want to propose, or you want to give feedback on an existing plan. And by just following these directions here, you can click specifically on the red number, and this will lead to a resources page that has a lot of helpful links on how to get involved in any process to make changes in your neighborhood. And then I'll close by showing you a few tabs that we have here, like this one, how to use the principles. So these are more practical ways in which the principles of good urban design can be used in reviewing a project, for example, or analyzing an idea that someone has in a community to make a change. And we are committing to also creating more specific guides after the principles are released for people to really use these resources as a tool, provide people with resources to help them advocate for changes in their neighborhood or for anything that they need in their neighborhood. And also the last thing I'll show you is the glossary that really starts to define some of the terms that are often used in urban design and that can be better understood by anyone in the community through this. So with this, I'll close. I invite you to visit the site to take the survey, to share it with your friends, family, and constituents. And I'm here to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. I do have one. So is there going to be any kind of protocol or anything to establish that someone that makes a suggestion for a neighborhood actually like lives in that community board? Like, for example, and I'm sure the DOT can back me up on this, everybody wants a speed hump, but no one wants it in front of their block, in front of their home or on their block. So they'll request it in front of other people's homes and everything else. So are we going to get somebody who, I don't know, this is just a little outlandish, but let's say I love Disney World. I would love Disney World in New York. I don't want it in Brooklyn where I live, but what about on Staten Island? Let's go dump it there. They got plenty of room there and everything like that. Is there anything to protect the residents from suggestions from people who do not live here?
Yeah, that's a great point. So through the site, we're actually able to see when people, and it's somewhat tangential to what you're saying, but we're able to see when people fill out the survey more than once. We can see that, which I think is helpful in making sure that people answered the survey or provide ideas once and there are not multiple entries from the same person. I'll share that the ideas page and the forum are both public. You'll have to register with the site and your idea will be public on the wall. So we can see what ideas people are sharing, what neighborhood they're from, and people are also able to see what other people are saying. So if there's someone that, or an idea that for a specific neighborhood that a person also living in that specific neighborhood doesn't agree with, they can comment or they can like that idea as well. So there is a little bit of a community also checking each other on these ideas because they're just public on the site and everyone can see them and interact with them.
Okay, great.
Well, I think Marie made a good point, but what worries me are the advocacy groups. For example, on Staten Island, there's a great risk of the transportation alternative group at cross purposes with the borough's residents. So how are you going to keep a lid on, the influence of advocacy groups? They have their own agenda, and in general, because of the nature of the island, what they advocate for doesn't do well out here. Particularly a group like Transportation Alternatives.
To add to what Joe Carroll is saying, this is Charlene from Board 3. He's correct in what he's saying. If anybody handles constituent services, they will know that if one person gets something caught in their hat, they will have 15, 20 people file the same complaint. This is the same thing that's going to happen on this website. You don't have to be, say, from St. George. Okay, you can have your friends from all over ask for something in St. George, and that's exactly what happens on Staten Island. Because I know myself, the Arthur Kill Road project, I had people from all over, only because I know who the people are. You don't. You don't have a database of people. So this is going to continually happen. It's not going to be a fair analysis, your survey of what the actuality is.
Let me just, if I can just jump in a second. I think what everyone has to understand is regardless of where the requests are coming from, everything goes under review by us before anything is installed. So understand that whether it comes from Transportation Alternatives or from Charlene or from anybody else, whether it's resident ABC that lives in Newdorp on Newdorp Plaza, it doesn't matter where, I mean, they're still going to be all reviewed and scrutinized as they would be no matter who's requesting it. So, and it's true, they don't know who the requesters are, but it really doesn't matter because the request itself will undergo scrutiny and approval and review. And if it doesn't work, it's not going to happen. So just understand that, just want to put that out there. So that's very important to understand that.
I have a question. You said it goes under review. Once you do all of this analysis and look at it, do you come back to a particular community board and say, this is what we've gotten, this is what we see, this is what we hear, what are your thoughts on this? Who is doing the review? Is it you, or does the community get an opportunity, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or in any of the boroughs? Do they have the ability to review what you have reviewed?
Yeah, and those are all fair points. So something that I want to share is that I'll share the site again so that you can see what the type of questions that we're asking. Asking people to submit recommendations for projects. We're just asking them, these are the questions. So what neighborhood do you live in? How long have you lived in that neighborhood? And then these are the 4 principles of good urban design, and we ask people to rank them. So do you think that it's most important that public spaces should feel comfortable or welcoming and safe to all? So you would put 1, for example, and ranking from 1 to most important to 4 to least important. So it's a little bit of a broader type of question. We ask, what did we miss with these principles? And then we go into a little bit of a deeper dive of when we're talking about buildings and public spaces that reinforce a neighborhood sense of place. What do you think is the most important idea? Is it about the culture and histories of people? Is it about the neighborhood should foster a sense of belonging and pride? Should new buildings and public spaces complement the surrounding neighborhood? Should be other, and people can specify. And we go on for the 4 principles. Then people can add comments, and optionally they can tell us about themselves. So you'll see that it's not about a specific project that people can request. This is very much about these principles of good urban design that are a broader umbrella. So there's no specific particular project that will come out of this process, but there will be principles that will come out of this process, if that can help ease some of the concerns that you have.
But again, just note that the respondents to this survey, although they may say they live in St. George, may not live in St. George. So therefore, the survey, I don't know a good word to use, would be not equitable, because I can sign on from 5 different computers and say, like, I want this design in this neighborhood or that design in that neighborhood. It doesn't really give you the true picture of what the people who live in the neighborhood give. And I know it's a difficult thing to do because outreach, especially in my board, is very difficult.
Especially at this time, it's exceptionally difficult.
Mm-hmm. But I just know that the responses that you get will not be what.
Okay, and I think, Charlene, that's probably true for every survey that the city will do. They're not all going to be 100% accurate or true, but we're going to take that at its face. And I think we're going to look at these surveys. And again, as it was described, they're very broad-based surveys. So let's, we're not going to be, well, 5 came for St. George and 3 came for Annandale and 2 came for Newdorf. I mean, they're very broad-based surveys, and that's just to start. So I get what you're saying, but, that will be taken into consideration.
Okay. Anybody else from the board? Okay. Let's move right along to our next presentation for open restaurants, please.
Hi, good evening, Borough Board members. My name is Eric Gregory. I'm the Director of Urban Design at City Planning. I'm here and joined by DOT, Emily Weidenhoff, the Director of Public Space. And we're here to share with you an update on the permanent program, specifically focused in on the design, guideline, and engagement process that we kicked off towards the last part of last year. We're really excited to be here to present this and share with you guys and hear a little bit more about any questions and concerns you have related to the design and how we can make this program, which has been pretty successful, definitely has its challenges that we've heard along the way, but I think our interest is improving it as it continues to move forward as we transition it into a permanent program. Next slide. So we'll just, a very brief presentation, we'll just give you a quick overview on where things currently are at for those that maybe are new to the conversation. And then I will hand it over to Emily to kind of walk you through more of the guiding principles that we have and an overview of the engagement and next steps. Next slide. So the process, for those of you that are maybe not aware, or to kind of remind folks, there was kind of like a 3-step process from taking this as an emergency program, which it currently is, and turning it into a permanent one. And that kind of first step was really looking at how we could open this up to be citywide, knowing that the current zoning regulations around sidewalk cafes really limited where restaurants could have tables and chairs on the sidewalk. So really the focus that the City Planning Commission and City Planning had in this effort was to remove some of those restrictions so that more folks could access the program. The City Planning Commission did vote to approve that text amendment in November of last year. And it was making its way over to the council, and then of course, because we're coming down to the end of the year and a transition into a new administration, a lot of new folks joining local government and community boards, it's currently still in process. So that's, I believe, over at the council's desks now. It was transmitted over a few days ago, and they are now going to be kind of reviewing that, and we expect that they will make some sort of announcements or votes in February of this year. Exact date is not known, but we do see that happening soon, or updates on that soon. What we're really focused on is this design engagement process, which was announced during the public review for that text amendment, which Emily will talk you through all the pieces and parts there. We've been kind of talking with all borough boards over the past few months, and we're really glad that we're able to meet with you today. And that process will likely run through the spring. And our hope is that we can release draft design guidelines in March of 2022, which will be another opportunity for the public, for members of community boards to review and provide feedback that will then inform the project as it moves through the rulemaking process, the City Administrative Procedure Act, which we hope will move forward later this year in the spring into the summer. And then through that, as that moves through to becoming new rules, there'll be finalized design guidelines along with the new application process. And so with the hope that a new permanent program would be stood up this time next year. I would note that the emergency program is still in effect till the end of this year. So there's lots of things that have to take place still, but we think it's important to continue this dialogue with all of you, and how we can really take on a lot of the things that we've heard through this journey, and build on the successes by making the program even better and address a lot of the concerns around quality of life that we've heard. I'll pass it over to him. Oh, excuse me, one more slide. So just again, an overview. The DOT will administer the program for both Sidewalk and roadway. The Sidewalk Cafe program pre-emergency was run by Department of Consumer Affairs, or Department of Consumer Workforce Protection, as they are currently known. But that authority will transition over to DOT, and they will also stand up and create a new roadway seating program. Again, we feel that it should be accessible citywide and not to just certain neighborhoods throughout the city. I think what's been great to see with Staten Island is there's currently almost 200 restaurants that have taken advantage of this program. And I don't believe there were really any sidewalk cafes previously before the emergency. So, there's been a lot of change in Staten Island with respect to this program. And we know that we need to do a lot of work. So, certainly there's a lot of things that we're learning along the way, having to stand up a program very quickly, that we need to make sure that we're, a lot of things are more robust, that we're really staying true and clear to clear path guidance and other roadway siting criteria, so that that's understandable, not by just restaurants, but also community members and neighbors. So that's definitely key as we move forward. And note that while this is at DOT, there are a host of other agencies that are still involved in this process, and they will be going forward, whether that be NYPD, sanitation, or the health department. So all these agencies, along with many others, have a key role to play in the this program as it moves forward, and also enforcement. Next slide. And I think I'll hand it over now to Emily.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Eric. So as we move forward, we've taken a lot of the feedback that we've heard from all of the community board stakeholders citywide, but also restaurant operators, industry professionals, as well as our interagency colleagues, and put together this set of goals as we transition and move beyond the emergency program into the permanent program. The first is accessibility. We want to ensure that setups are inclusive to all users, but also that our sidewalks and the clearance on our sidewalks can continue to be fully accessible and be used by everybody who needs them. Safety is another huge goal of our design guidelines. Obviously at DOT, we put safety first, and these guidelines will look to ensure that there is access for emergency vehicles on all streets, narrow or wide, as well as access to properties on the streets, to make sure that these setups are really contributing to a safe environment for everyone. And also considering sight lines, so making sure that drivers can see all necessary roadway signage to make sure that drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians can all see each other as they're using the street. The next big goal is flexibility. We really want to promote coordination between the outdoor dining setups and the huge variety of activity that takes place on our streets, and that you all know very well, and that ranges from emergency utility work to all transportation planning work that we do at our agency, bus lanes, bike lanes, pedestrian safety efforts, but also making sure that we can continue to maintain and take care of our streets. So pothole repairs and roadway resurfacing, and making sure that sanitation can plow and properly collect waste pickups. Another big goal is equity. As Eric mentioned, we've seen in the emergency program, lifting some of the zoning requirements have really opened up the program to all parts of the city and many different types of restaurants. And so we want to make sure as we move forward, we have inclusive parameters to continue to allow restaurants citywide to have the opportunity to participate in this program. And then lastly, a real goal of having guidelines that help with appearance and enhancing neighborhood context. We want to make sure that we're promoting clean, attractive, and well-maintained setups, but also ones that fit into the local community and the whole kind of variety of street types that we have across the city. So we're here this afternoon really to launch this engagement process with you and ask for your help to get the word out about some of the critical next steps in our design engagement process. As I'm sure you know, we work incredibly closely with our interagency colleagues, and so we have been holding regular meetings with everyone from the sanitation department to our emergency services, the police department and the fire department, to Department of Small Business Services, Department of Health, the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities, whole range of folks to make sure that we are incorporating feedback because this program really does touch so many different agencies and so many parts of our city. We are also collaborating with Alfresco NYC on a series of topic-based roundtables, and they are working to pull together industry professionals from the hospitality industry, as well as the design industry and transportation planning industry, to really get a good collection of best practices and get some thoughts and larger scale principles for the permanent program. We have a public survey, very high level to start, that is available on our website. Eric just dropped a link to that in the chat, so we strongly encourage you to share this with your networks and get that out to your stakeholders so people can give us some high-level input about the program so far and where they want to see it go. This survey will be open through the end of January. We also have this one-page brochure that you see on the slide here. This is also something you can download on our website. You can distribute the PDF. You can print it out. You can also just share a link. This is a really great and kind of simple pamphlet that shares a lot of the goals about the permanent program moving forward. It also includes a link to the survey, so a really great resource to share with the Staten Island community. And lastly, we'll be hosting a series of virtual public roundtables. These will be in February, and we'll be sharing more specific details on that to come. All of this information is most up to date, and you can find it at nyc.gov/open restaurants. That's our main program page. There you'll find kind of everything that is kind of in the current emergency program requirements, as well as all of the updates on the permanent program moving forward. So as Eric mentioned, we've been visiting all of the borough boards and some service cabinets to give everybody this information and make sure that folks are aware that we're currently in this process, and really encourage folks to stay engaged and to continue to give us feedback. Virtual roundtables again in February, so stay tuned. Once those dates are solidified, we will certainly make sure that we send all of that information to you so you can pass it along. Again, planning to release the draft design guidelines in March, and then at that point, when we have something more specific and comprehensive for everyone to review, we'll be coming back to all of the borough boards and do additional public engagement sessions to really get more detailed feedback from everyone, and then ultimately update and release the permanent program guidelines, all kind of in coordination and in tandem with updating the program rules through the summer and fall of next year. And with that, again, we thank you so much for your time and would like to open it up to you for any questions or comments that you may have.
Yeah, I have a question. You listed that you're going to have interagency consultations. Well, as you know, the community boards are city agencies. Are they going to be part of the consultation?
So we see you as a huge stakeholder, and that's why we're here today. The interagency meetings that we've been having are ones that have been going. They're ongoing and part of our our regular work. The community boards are not part of those. A lot of that is
More operational agencies.
operational.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
These are the operational agencies, Joe. So it's more or less doing the nitty gritty operational arrangements between the agencies. Yeah.
Quite often, operational issues are issues that can be talked about from the community level because a lot of those issues are best answered by the local community.
And this is why we're here today. But some of the issues that we deal with sanitation and the Board of Health are more of the daily operational, same as the issues that we deal with sanitation on plowing, or other operational issues with other operations at DEP on flooding. So these are not issues we would bring the community board in, but we would bring the community board in because your input is extremely valuable, but not at that level where we're just talking about operational duties and responsibilities. You would be brought in exactly as we are today. So yeah, but these are more nitty gritty, low level sort of operational issues that we normally deal with other agencies on a bunch of other issues that we don't necessarily bring the community board in.
I guess, Commissioner, it's worrisome because, there's going to be restaurants like this along streets that are heavily trafficked, along streets that have residents on them, and without some ability to have a conversation about the protections for the people who live above the restaurants or the bus routes or the drivers of the major streets, it really is worrisome. I mean, you'll be making decisions and you'll come and tell us what the decisions are, and it'll be kind of too late then to do
No,
anything
that's
about
not,
it.
Joe, that's not the way we're going to be doing things. We're going to be doing things in conjunction with the community board. And I think Emily will agree. This is the way we've been doing it all along. So I think your input is very valuable in this whole process. Am I correct, Emily?
Yeah, absolutely. And so even our program goals for, again, to transition away from the emergency response and into a permanent program has largely been based on what feedback we've been hearing from community boards, from restaurant operators, from members of the public. So all of your feedback is hugely valuable. And I think the big thing to focus on will be to have as many of your community board colleagues as well as your neighborhood constituents attend the roundtables in February. That's when we'll really be putting more details kind of in a larger format for folks to really give us detailed feedback on.
Thank you.
This is Robert. This is Robert from CB2.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
No, I have a very specific question. Out here on the South Shore and Community Board 3, as you know, there are strip malls, I use that term. And when they're constructed and required to have a certain amount of parking spaces for the strip mall. Do you envision when a restaurant in a strip mall seeks to have outdoor dining, that they then can take away the parking spots that were required to be there when the strip mall was constructed in the first place?
That's a good question and something that we'll have to take a look at and get back to you on. I don't think we have an answer on it right now, but that is a really good point and good for us to be aware of that.
Because we found out here, for example, some places take away the handicap parking spots. So it's an issue that you have to look at here because there are many, many areas where these kind of structures exist. The restaurant should have the ability to have the same opportunity as others, but the only reason they got built in the first place is that parking spots were allocated because there's no street parking around there So thank you. I appreciate if you would look into that.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you, DOT and City Planning for coming and making the presentations. We appreciate it. Okay, we're just gonna move right on now and just for our final housekeeping issues. So if the agencies want to leave, please feel free.
Thank you. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, everybody. Good to see
Thank you.
everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Oh,
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Commissioner. Take care, Victoria.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we did not have any correspondence. Does anybody have any old business that they'd like to bring up?
this is Robert from CB2. I didn't want to start ruffling all these feathers on this restaurant thing, but I work in Manhattan, and while Staten Island, we've been pretty lucky, but there are some where I work. There've been some pretty horror stories of these restaurants in the streets with trash and rodents and floods and people sitting in the middle of the streets and taxis going on the sidewalks and all kinds of things. So I'm hoping these roundtables are going to be able to hear all this, because it's not going to go away that easy. So I just didn't want to start that discussion right now with them. So, but that's a real issue. So,
It's definitely a valid concern.
Thank
So
you.
we'll have to keep an eye on that. Anybody else? Any old business? Okay, any new business? I would just like to welcome Barbara to our Borough Board. She is new, so if everybody can just extend a kind welcome to her.
Welcome, Barbara.
Hello, Barbara.
So much.
I go,
I'm really looking forward to working with everyone. Thank you so much.
If you need anything, just give us a holler and we will try to help if we can.
Sounds great. And of course, the councilwoman's office is always available for you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any new business?
I just have a question out of curiosity. Will we have our new borough president, Vito, address us or see us or join us?
I actually had invited him to join today, and he actually was planning it too, but then something came up, and I guess he's being pulled in a million new directions now that he's just started and everything. I'm sure, just as I know, I had texted the councilwoman and she had said that they were all up at City Hall and everything. So I'm sure at some point he definitely would like to come and do it. Like I said, it was his intention to actually come on today for a little while and just greet everybody, but unfortunately the last minute scheduling change prevented that.
That's quite understandable. Quite understandable. I just wanted to have the
Tell him we
opportunity.
said hello.
Yep. Anybody else? Any new business? Can I entertain a motion to adjourn, please?
motion to adjourn.
All right, Jerry first, Robert second. Okay, thank you, everybody. Right now, we don't have anything scheduled for February's meeting yet, but I'm sure we shall. So have a happy and healthy evening, and we will see everybody in February.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
That was great. Thank you so
Take care.
much.
Bye.
Bye now.